You are not going to believe what we've got today, so get comfortable, smash the like button, and let's go straight to it. What happened last night didn't just entertain the NFL world, it quietly handed the 49ers a real opening. And it gets crazier. There's a familiar name floating back into the Bay Area rumor mill, and it's the kind of talk that can split the 49ers faithful down the middle. So here's my question right out of the gate. If San Francisco has the path in front of them, do you trust them to cash it in, or are you bracing for chaos? All eyes were on the Pacific Northwest Thursday night for Seahawks-Rams, and nobody was watching closer than the 49ers. For San Francisco, the best outcome wasn't pretty. It was Seattle finding a way to win. Early in the fourth quarter, it looked dead. The Rams were up 30-14 after Matthew Stafford hit Puka Nacua for a 1-yard touchdown less than 90 seconds into the final frame, and it felt like the door was closing. Then the game went completely off the rails. Seattle got a 58-yard punt return touchdown from Rashid Shaheed, then hit a 2-point conversion. The Seahawks defense forced a quick 3-and-out, and before you could blink, it was a 2-play drive that ended with Sam Darnold finding A.J. Barner for a 26-yard touchdown. After the wildest 2-point conversion you'll ever see, it was suddenly 30-30 with 6:23 left, and that's where it stayed through regulation. In overtime, the Rams touched it first and jumped ahead 37-30 when Stafford and Nacua connected again, this one for 41 yards. But Seattle answered right back. Darnold hit Jackson Smith-Njigba on a 4-yard touchdown, and the moment Darnold connected with Eric Saubert for yet another 2-point conversion, the Seahawks pulled off a 38-37 win. And yes, this is exactly what the 49ers needed. With Seattle winning, San Francisco now controls its own destiny down the stretch, not only in the NFC West race, but also in the race for the number one seed in the NFC. This would not have been the case if the Rams had won Thursday night. So here's the simple, brutal truth. If the 49ers take care of the Colts on Monday night, then beat the Bears in Week 17, and close the season by completing the season sweep of the Seahawks, they win the division and earn a first-round bye as the number 1 seed. 3 games, 3 finals. And this isn't just fan talk, it's tiebreaker reality. If the 49ers win out, they finish 13-4. The Rams could also finish 13-4 if they beat the Falcons and Cardinals. And the Seahawks could finish 13-4 if they beat the Panthers in Week 17 and then lose to San Francisco in Week 18. In a 3-team division tie, the first tiebreaker is best win percentage in games among those tied teams. In that scenario, the 49ers would be 3-1, the Rams would be 2-2, and the Seahawks would be 1-3. That's how San Francisco takes the NFC West. And for the number 1 seed, the only team outside the West that can still get to 13 wins is the Bears. But that wouldn't be possible if the 49ers beat them in Week 17, would it? That's the lane for San Francisco to win the conference. If the Niners lose one of the final 3, everything changes and they start needing help. But for now, this is exactly where you want to be heading into the home stretch. And there's another layer. The 49ers can clinch a playoff spot with a win over the Colts on Monday, or if the Lions lose to the Steelers on Sunday. So let me hear you, Niner gang. Do you love that destiny is in their hands, or does that make you more nervous? Now, while we're all fired up about the standings, there's another storyline bubbling that hits the heart of this fan base. Not a report, not a confirmation, just buzz, enough to make people connect dots and start daydreaming. The rumor is this: Deebo Samuel could have a path, somewhere down the road in 2026, to end up back in red and gold. Let's ground it the right way. Deebo is not a 49er anymore. He was traded to the Washington Commanders in the offseason, and the deal was finalized in March 2025. There's no public proof that anything is happening right now. But the reason this rumor keeps getting oxygen is simple. It fits a fear and it fits a scheme. The fear is the wide receiver picture. There's been noise around Brandon Ayuk with reports of tension, distance, and a messy contract situation. And when fans sense a real playmaker gap could open up, the mind goes straight to the guy who already knows the building, the expectations, and the offense. The scheme part is obvious. Deebo is basically a prototype for what Kyle Shanahan loves: motion, jet action, screens, backfield usage, physical football, and turning Yassi into a weapon. When the season gets tight, teams don't always chase new. Sometimes they chase known. But for a reunion to even be possible, Washington has to open the door. That likely means one of three things: the Commanders being willing to trade him for the right price, a contract/cap shift that leads to a release or major restructure, or the free agency timing lining up after the deal runs its course. Right now, the practical point is that Deebo has been producing with Washington in 2025. He's on the field and has a role. That matters. So here's the straight question. If you're the 49ers, do you bring Deebo back if the receiver room tightens up? Or is it time to fully turn the page and build through the draft and younger pieces? And speaking of the offense, the numbers this season tell a truth that should make every Niners fan pause. The 49ers have had only one player record a 500-plus receiving yards season this year, and it hasn't come from a wide receiver or even a tight end. It's come from Christian McCaffrey, who is closing in on becoming the first NFL player ever to record 1,000 rushing and 1,000 receiving yards in the same season twice. The next closest challenger to 500 receiving yards is Kendrick Bourne. The 49ers brought him back for a second stint at the start of the year on a modest $5 million per year deal, and he has been a capable contributor. And on Monday night against the Colts, he is set to earn an additional $500,000 when he reaches the threshold, because right now, he has 499 receiving yards across his 13 starts. Unless he sees almost no targets, it's basically happening. Bourne's season has been explosive. Aside from his rookie year in 2017, he is posting 15.1 yards per catch, showing just how much juice he's brought as a depth piece. And his impact has mattered even more given the absence of quarterback Brock Purdy, top receiver George Kittle, and the early injury struggles of Ricky Pearsall and Juwan Jennings. The early part of the season showcased a strong connection between Mac Jones and Bourne, and yes, back-to-back 142-yard games account for a big portion of his total. But those performances were arguably the best by any 49ers offensive weapon this year. Bourne's explosiveness against the Rams in Week 5 highlighted his impact in an overtime victory that will likely stand as the 49ers' best regular season win of the year. Keeping Kendrick Bourne next year makes sense. He has earned his bonus and should be signed for another year at a similar rate, because the 49ers have clearly gotten more value than expected. He has already surpassed his total production from the past 3 seasons, and there are still games left to play before the playoff push. And while San Francisco still needs a top receiver as a contingency for Brandon Ayuk, Bourne provides reliable depth and a worthwhile return on investment. But here's the uncomfortable part. If your running back is your top receiver and your next guy is a veteran return, what does that say about the receiver room's durability? Which brings us to the name at the center of the latest injury conversation. Second-year wide receiver Ricky Pearsall has dealt with multiple injuries during the 2025 season, leading some to question whether he's injury-prone. Pearsall first suffered a hamstring injury during the offseason, briefly landing him on the 49ers' physically unable to perform list. During the regular season, he then missed 6 games with a PCL injury. Against the Titans on Sunday, Pearsall suffered an ankle injury early, initially played through it, but later aggravated his PCL and was forced to exit. Pearsall did not practice Thursday, but the 49ers have not ruled him out for Monday night's game against the Indianapolis Colts, a pivotal matchup. With a win, San Francisco would clinch a playoff berth. General Manager John Lynch pushed back on the injury-prone narrative during a Friday morning appearance on Bay Area radio station KNBR. He said no, he doesn't think there's an internal concern. He explained that PCL injuries are tough and don't go away until you have ample time to rest. And on the ankle, he said that tackle was the kind of technique the league has tried to get out of football, and he believes that player will get fined, and rightly so. Lynch praised Pearsall's toughness, saying Ricky was extremely tough, came back from the ankle, but then fell on his knee late. Lynch framed it as unfortunate timing, not a pattern. He said the 49ers are better with Pearsall, that he's a huge part of the offense, and that Ricky is doing everything he can to get back on the field. The 49ers have 2 more practices, Friday and Saturday before Monday night, and they'll see where it's at. So now it's decision time. Do you push Pearsall to suit up in a game that can clinch the playoffs? Or do you protect a young player and make sure he's right if January turns into a real run? Because when you add it all up, this moment is pure 49ers football. High stakes, big emotions, and no room for sloppy execution. The standings open the door. The control your destiny path is right there. But rumors tug at the future. Production numbers expose the present, and injuries threaten the plan. This is the stretch that separates contenders from pretenders. If you're riding with the red and gold, hit like, subscribe, and drop your comment. Which of these storylines matters most to you right now? And what are you expecting Monday night?